That's something really. Second thing, which is really, really important, which you need to make sure that you hear, is yes, IT, because it is so dominant in the project and agile, and also partly in the design thinking world. You underline the fact that design thinking is not something that is exclusively or predominantly used in IT.
Yes,
it can be used anywhere, and it doesn't have to be a physical product. It can be the service experience is also part of the design thinking.
Yes,
right?
Like a check-in process, for example. Yes, perfect.
For those companies out there who say, okay, you're kind of getting my attention, maybe my interest, does my industry need this kind of thinking? Can you think of industries, for example, banking, that's struggling with how are we serving the customer? Are we still relevant? Can you think of industries where this would be in particular as an example? If you like, we can start off with the banking. I mean, what's the or another?
Like banking. I mean, the banking business has changed. It's not about just the money anymore.
Yeah.
So banks need to survive in a competing market, actually, and all these online banks and so on. So at the end of the day, it's about creating new services, and now it's about services and not only products. Yes, there are a lot of products like special things, wherever there is. But yes, it's about services. For example, Erste Bank in Austria did this on focusing very much on the startup scene and founder scene to really support startups from the very first beginning in getting extra money, in providing legal support, in
providing consulting,
in business case calculation support, in getting
mentorship,
extra funds, etc. To really make sure that the organization, that the company, the startup actually, from the very first start throughout the lifetime is going to be successful, and the bank is part of this journey. Actually.
Well, you're actually part of that initiative, right? You're a mentor in that process.
A mentor and also one of the masterminds there, where it's about designing and setting up this startup.
So do you have that kind of, you have those glasses on when you're looking at when somebody makes a pitch, you look at it and you say, that design, the product design or the service design could probably be tweaked a little bit. And
Yes, and very much. I mean, I know it myself. I established a vineyard as well. So it's at the end of the day, you start when establishing a company, you like it, right? Mm-hmm. It's a bunch of friends. You're happy, you're passionate, and say, we love it. But that just that you love it does not mean that 8 billion people around you love it. And that's now the service design.
I want to go back to
design thinking approach. Yeah.
I want to go back to that original statement that I made, is what kind of industry would need it? And I think probably the industries that should be most interested in design thinking are the traditional ones.
The traditional ones that deal with end customers.
Yeah. And where they're noticing that the natural progression of economies reduces margins, increases costs, changes the way customers behave. There's commoditization of their product. There's competition, and I think the classical MBA, Master of Business Administration approach to efficiency and effectiveness in business is to cut costs and to always look at it from a quantitative perspective. And design thinking is an alternative to that. It says, listen, for example, I'll give you a concrete example. I think one of the things that it hurts me a little bit is that banks all over the world, and also in Europe, have found the number one, and everybody's copying each other, the number one way to improve your P&L, right, your profit loss, is they're closing branches, right? Because they said, we don't need branches. It's an overhead and we can reduce it. I think that's kind of a quantitative solution and a lazy solution that doesn't sufficiently take design thinking into play.
Yes.
Would you agree?
Yes.
Okay.
I agree.
Go ahead.
When was the last time you were at the branch? At the bank office?
I'm usually I have two banks that I go to. My main one, I only go maybe every 2 weeks. And the secondary bank, I go about once a week.
Okay, physically you go there.
And I would say this, I would probably go more often if they really understood their core business. I think most banks have forgotten what their core business, or their core business doesn't work like it used to, and now they're so confused they don't know how to activate it. I personally think that banks are still relevant, but they have to deep dive on their core principles And I don't think enough of them are doing that.
Yeah.
You and I do a lot of work in Albania.
Yes.
And they have an interesting design thinking approach to their banks. They kind of did a cultural thing. Albanians love to eat and drink, and they're very sociable people, wonderful people.
And we love chofta as well.
Yeah, we love chofta and the ceviche and the different food there. Great. But what the banks did there, since Albanians love to sit outside in lounges and drink coffee and have conversations, a lot of the banks in the afternoon will have like music and coffee and stuff like that, which they figure, you know what, if we're going to have a location, if we want to activate it and make it relevant, make it part of the community, it doesn't necessarily sell direct products.
No, but you are in a bank, you're aware of the bank logo, you have the ATM there, maybe you put in some money, cash in, cash out, whatever.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I think that banks in particular, I think they do a lot of design thinking in the IT area, but not enough in their actual experience.
Yes.
And other industries, for example, have learned this. For example, bakeries or supermarkets, right? They understand they don't reduce their outlets. Bakeries and supermarkets know that a person has a trust relationship, and they're only willing to walk, I forget what the 200 meters, 300 meters to get there. And they'll go to the supermarket that's closest. And I think banks are losing that, you know? The excuse is, everybody's doing things online. Yes, that's a user experience that's positive. I can do a lot of things online from my desk. But
question could be what other services can be provided from the bank you cannot do online, and where maybe you need and request some consultancy and some support, which can also be done online, of course, but still there is a huge segment of the population who does not want to do a consultancy about your insurance, a consultancy about your real estate loan, etc. online. You want to sit in front of a person, have a coffee, discuss the things, and that's it.
We want banking is always, like many products, is based on trust. We want to know our bank representative. It should be the same one. We should have trust. When we ask questions, we should get answers and not get the answer, I don't know, or no, right? So these are things. So that's where we're design thinking. I think design thinking is really the Rettungsring, we say in German, the kind of the tool that can help.
How is it in English?
I can't think of it. That's the the life ring, the life-saving ring that you throw as somebody who's trying to save somebody in the water. But I think in particular for traditional organizations that are going into the 21st century, that are facing challenges of new behaviors on the market, also new technologies, I think the focus shouldn't just be on, hey, let's create more apps. That's one part of it. But let's not forget about the human factor as well, right?
Yes, definitely. And human factor is not human factor. That's a difference. If you are 17, just get your own money, first own money, or you are 87, struggling with daily life, still want to enjoy different behaviors. So that's also one reason why you asked before, what's design thinking for? It's of making a difference of the users. Yes, it's not the user, the customer as a stakeholder in a project, and that's it. There is no the customer. It's so many different characters, different personas, different needs, different pains, different gains, different life stories, and different futures, where we as an organization, if we want to work on design thinking and we want to be better than the others, have to focus on
it means creating a blend or mixture of different products and services that just covers a broader spectrum of potential clients, right?
Yes, a blend on one hand, but also to define, to really sharpen key pillars of your products, features of your services to a designated area.